Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Willington Board of Education special meeting tonight. It is May 13th, 2026. We are calling this meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. We would like to invite you to join us for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep. Okay. Tonight we're here to talk about operational savings and what that means. Right now we have two buildings, and we're kind of thinking about what could be helpful if we move to one building and consolidate a pre-K to 8 school. First though, we're going to open up the floor for presidents to speak. If you would like to share something, please raise your hand in person or virtually. We have a 5-minute timer, so if you could just keep an eye on that, that would be great. And make sure that you state your name and address at the beginning or go ahead.
Hi, Liliana Borrelli, Jared's Forest Road. So I have a question as far as the staffing and the cuts that would be made if we get a consolidated school. I think that would help people make a more educated decision as to whether they should vote for a new consolidated school or not. So I want to know, because we're having a difficult time trying to get any cuts for this budget, right? I want to know, what would you cut realistically? How would that look? So help us to envision what that would look like. Like, who would you get rid of one principal, or would you still have two principals? How many? Like, we want to know what the economics of having a consolidated school would be. I think that would help us.
Thanks. Pretty sure that staffing changes will be part of the discussion next week. Should be. I know we talked about it a little bit before. So stay tuned.
Well, no. If we're doing a consolidated school, are you getting rid of one? Not getting rid. That's kind of harsh. But like, are you going to eliminate one principal or?
That's not a question we're able to answer at this time.
Okay, got it.
The conversation has been had. I know it's a piece of talking about consolidating our schools, and I don't have a direct answer at this time. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Nick Myrtle Road. Second, what Lillian is asking as far as getting these answers. In the agenda item, you guys are literally talking about operational savings. So like you're going into a meeting tonight without even having done any homework at all. Just curious on that. Also, there's this potential extra 15% that comes with the birth through 5. Right now, my understanding is it's 3 to 5. But with the new state statute, I don't have it off the top of my head. It specifically says birth to 5. So if at some point we expand to this birth, I mean, is there going to be operational savings if we now have to, with the way the state of Connecticut is, we're going to mandate the school to have diapers, formula, and all these other costs that are eventually going to come down the pipeline? Because that will definitely eat into any operational savings. Anybody that's had kids will know that. And then I just want to, Ralph made a good point last night. The image of board members that sit on this board and have spouses on others, he made a very good point, and I just wanted to remind people of that if they go back and watch. There is definitely an image out there people are going to see. And that being said, I hope in any conversations that have to do with the budget, both Brianna and Jen can, I'm sure you guys want to reduce conflict and any ethical concerns that could come up. Excuse yourselves from those conversations to minimize concerns that I and other people in this town have. Thank you.
Anyone else? Online,
Then I can go if you want.
for president to speak, or, oh, go ahead.
Adam Zalonis, River Road. I'm also on the SBC. I know you guys are looking at, I've done a lot of consolidations for the company I work for, and there's definitely potential savings. We've got staffing, contracts, facility maintenance, energy savings, logistical savings, huge potential opportunities. I know some of the things I think we won't be able to answer within this group. We'll definitely need to go outside of that, probably to town finance and other planning, stuff like that. So I just hope that we can, how we can engage with other groups. Specifically the SBC, we need some information too. I know Phil's has some stuff for us, but there's some stuff outside, I believe, of what we have access to that will, I think, would help us, at least from a planning standpoint as well, to have. So not sure how we would engage in that, but I'd like to sort of figure out something.
Thanks. Hi, go ahead.
Another concern that I have is on the school building committee, John Tehan is one of the, I think he's an alternate. And he works or has a company that does solar, and he's very gung-ho about it. I want to know, do you have plans to have a subcommittee to vet if you have plans of doing a solar power, that he makes sure that he's not part of that? Because that would be unethical, a conflict of interest, and that would not bode well for us. Just want to make sure.
You can refer that question to the school building committee because they're the ones who are handling that. Okay. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
No worries.
Good evening, guys. Jim Marshall, Fisher Road. I'm also the chair of the school building committee. I just, to answer some of the questions, yes, this is a Board of Ed meeting. We can answer some of those questions if you bring them to the school building committee. I'd be happy to, after they answer those questions, we welcome that, for that feedback. I will just say thank you for engaging in this discussion now. It is part of the committee's process and work to be able to identify what the potential budgetary impact is to the town through a consolidated school proposal. This is an important piece of that puzzle. And I look forward to hearing this conversation and what you guys come up with, just so that we can have a better understanding of how that impacts the total budgets that we start together. So thank you very much. And here if any questions come up.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alan Myrtle. Just real quick. So while some of the conversation is going to be about savings and all this positive news, I hope that there's consideration of the potential holding costs for center or hall, depending if it's a new site. I know there's a lot of variables and ifs, but some of these savings can also be wiped out if we're holding on to center school for 10 years or whatever it may be. So that needs to be taken into consideration. So while, yes, we'll potentially have savings, we're also going to have expenses too. So
Again, I'm going to refer you to the school building committee with that question because that's under their umbrella rather than ours.
If you'll entertain, we will be addressing all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we good on that?
I had a comment for you. On the the birth thing, the
Adam,
ladies.
stop you there.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I think we're going to get in trouble.
We're going to go ahead on with our business.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm open for it.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead with our, I guess presentation is the right way to put it, about, well, it's kind of very late. Okay, operational savings. What would you like to start with?
So, what I've done for you, I've done two things. I took the current staffing and put it onto a spreadsheet and basically said, here's what we have by school, going to a pre-K 8, where do we see potential staffing savings is part one. And then part two, I went through the entire budget document and just said, yep, that will apply, that'll come off. No, you can't take that. And I'll explain some of that as I go through. So I kind of did that in two phases. You're going to see some of that tonight with the question you asked. What I will say, there's specifically on the staffing side, as you have lived this with kindergarten, you can't guarantee some of these things. And what you're going to hear me say is you get a number of over 450 students, you need to consider 2 nurses. You're under that number, you could consider 1 nurse. There are certain positions where you have to consider adding a person or taking away. And it doesn't mean it's a 1.0. It could be a part-time. You just can't guarantee that because some of that's based on your enrollment. Okay. Questions on that frame? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk down the list that's in order. Let me just put this on the screen for the folks that care to come and join us tonight. So the left side is the district staff, okay? And in the district staff, and anything in red is where you would see potential savings, where it could be a position eliminated. We had talked about the potential of doing this, you know, should this be done in executive session? So we're talking about jobs, and it's not really something because this is so far out. It's not tomorrow thing. Okay, so the first point on there obviously is my position, and I've said this from the get-go, is that if you get to one school, you can consider a part-time superintendent. I put in a 0.8. This is a 4-day-a-week. You could consider, depending on how things go and what it is, you could consider looking at that potentially less. It just depends on the amount of work. The things that I do in my role, because we have 2 schools, it matters. And whether you have 3,000 kids or you have 500 kids, all the same reporting, all the same things that we have to do for the state, it's not different. When you have 3,000 kids, you have an assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction. You have an assistant superintendent of HR. We don't have that. So that's something to consider. So I put it as a 0.8 and I assigned a dollar value to it. Okay. And that's what I've done all the way through for these things. What I'll try and do is do each section for you, and just, you want to disagree with me, this is 100% a working document. Okay. And that's the intent of this. So, there's an admin assistant in there for the superintendent. There remains a pupil services director in district. There remains a pupil services secretary. There remains a school psychologist, a speech clinician, a literacy coach, a math coach, an OT, and a PT. Those things would remain for the district. Those are people that typically, from everyone below my assistant, work across buildings. Okay. That is probably the only savings you would see on the district side would be me. The intent from our conversations has not been, I can blow that up bigger too. That's all. I don't think the intent has been, and I think it's, I'll be frank, I think it's a waste of money. If whatever you do is a renovation, a new building on a new site, or a new building on the hall site, moving my office there would not be smart, because they changed the reimbursement rate and it costs you more money, number one. Number two, I do a significant amount of my work with that office right there. I need to be connected to the business office. I'm in there 15 times a day, literally, and working through financial things, insurance, whatever it is. That's who I need to be connected to. I can always go out to schools when I need to. And I don't think the intent would also be to bring them to the new school. Therefore, that's why I leave it off as a district piece. Okay.
Some space for the children.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you look at, and sorry, you're going to lose it, but on the worksheet you won't. So the next column is the principal center. Then you see the principal hall. It says 2 total, and here's your first yellow line. Okay. So what I'm going to say is, if you have, I'm trying to get you guys out of the way, sorry, over 450 students, purely for an evaluation standpoint, the number of staff that you have to be able to have enough administration to do evaluations. Could there be a consideration for, a principal for lesser time? You could consider that. At this point, it's yellow. I'm not putting cost savings on it because I can't guarantee it. That's how I look at it, right? If you're in the 400 range, you're at one principal. If you're above that, and the reason why is because you still have the pupil services director who could also fill in some of those evaluations. Okay, you go over that, it's a different story because you start talking about discipline and someone's dealing with discipline on a daily basis. How do we get into classrooms in that situation? It's not easy to do. Okay, so I left that in yellow.
What's the going rate difference between a principal and an assistant principal?
So
25?
Ironically, in Willington, nothing.
Okay.
And the reason I say that and why I wrote co-principal is because our principals work 200 days out of 260. They are already part-time. So we pay them basically an assistant principal rate for a full year. You're not going to get savings by hiring an assistant principal, which is why I wrote co-principal. It's a great question.
Mhm.
Typically, if you were going to say assistant principal, you would have a principal who worked 260 days a year, a full 12-month contract. We do not have that. We don't have any administrators, but besides myself, that have a full 260. I'm in.
So you're saying if under 450, one principal, if over 450, one principal, and assistant principal.
And the assistant principal could be a co-principal, depending on how you
Right.
do it. To me, the division of work and leadership has to be very clear if you use a co-principal model. And I'm going to be really honest with you. You could pay someone less for an assistant principal. You would also lose them every 2 years because they would get the assistant principal. You would pay them $95,000, which is $3,000 more than a top step teacher, and they would do their work. And they would take the bigger amount of money because they have experience now.
Mm-hmm.
Pros and cons of that, you can build leadership that way, but you can save some money. I'm not sure it's the right way to do it. You could pay them a little bit more. When you have a principal, it's like, hey, she's the boss. She has final authority on that building. As an assistant principal, I might say, I think, but in the end, it's her decision. And there's kind of pros and cons to that. So that's why I say it's in yellow because can't guarantee it. Depends on numbers. You could decide the model, co-principal, assistant principal. And you could also consider, you close in on that 450, and you could also consider, there are districts that, and I'm not sure if you've ever done this at EO, where you're like a 0.4 teacher and a 0.6 principal to make you whole. And again, you're building leadership. You're probably going to lose that person because they want to be an administrator. It saves you money. It's kind of like they have to have the 092 admin certification, but it allows them for you to get some evaluation piece. Where it gets tricky is they're a colleague for 0.4 of the time and they're a boss 0.6 of the time. It's a little quirky.
Do you think the 200 days a year model would work?
Sorry, I'm just making sure. Same thing.
That the 200?
It's what's working now.
Okay.
It's what we're doing now. I mean, are there years where it's like we have hiring or we have things to do in the summer and it's hard? Yeah, it is. But we've made it work. And if we have to pay them an extra day to do something because of hiring, you have to hire 3 teachers and you only work 12 additional days beyond the teacher contract, your days are gone. So all your planning work doesn't work out. I will also say there's a group of people that really appreciate that 200 days.
Yes.
Yes, it impacts their salary big time because they can make $45,000 more someplace else on a full year contract with vacation days. They don't get vacation days. It's not in their contract. But it's like quality of life. You're going to have your summer's going to be off. Maybe you have young kids. You're only going to work 12 days. It's flexible. I don't tell them when to work. They figure out in the schedule. We match a couple of days. It works. All right, so the first elimination there is we have 2 principal secretaries right now. There would be 1. And so there's savings to that. And what I will tell you is that principal secretary would, in my opinion, just like it happens now at center school, that principal secretary is sitting in the main office and they still have main office duties. It's not like they just report to the principal. They're helping with other things.
She's a building secretary slash.
Correct.
Secretary.
Yes, slash maintenance secretary, slash transportation secretary. That's how your budget's broken apart. The point of this is, I feel like you're going from 2 to 1. Because even if you have 2 principals, it maintains as 1. That the one school special education secretary, I took down to 0. And the reason why right now is because Penny is our special education secretary. She's Marcia's assistant at Paul. We have a portion of a role at center school that is planning for special education, making PPTs for that specific building. That would go away because we would all be in one location. I anticipate that the role of this assistant of the pupil services director, their assistant, they would take on that full role because they're in one building. They could do that.
How much of that is her job now at center? How much of what maybe y'all talk about how much of her job at center is doing special education stuff?
I'd have to go back. If you're looking at hours, I'd have to specifically ask her and Lisa. We budgeted the factor in it. But she spends quite a bit of time finalizing IEPs in the system, prepping IEPs for PPTs. She will do the scheduling for parents or through the building. So she does a bunch. She's also the first person you see when you come in the building. So she's creating and it's a balance. You have to have the right person to jump back and forth. But I think it is a decent portion of her position. But there are things she does as well.
Okay, just take me through real quick why Penny can't do that. I understand it's 2 buildings, but I don't understand why you can't schedule.
Sheer number of kids.
Okay.
She's also managing Marcia's calendar for all the PPTs and meetings things. I mean, I can get the list of things that they're looking at, but I don't think with 2 buildings, it's because Penny, like Amanda can touch base and go talk to 4 people in the building. Penny's in a different building. She's got to call everyone now. She can't just pop in the door and go, "Hey, can you do 1 o'clock on Friday?" Yeah, good. Okay, off we go. It's more efficient. I left the school maintenance secretary intact. And again, that John's point there, like put the slash in front office, maintenance, whatever it is. I basically am looking at this going from 5 to 3. Okay. And that's, I've been told that that's a little tight for my administrative team and my assistant. But I think it's feasible. Social worker remains, counselor, mental health specialist, classroom teachers. Obviously, the classroom teachers and special education teachers and paraprofessionals, that number goes up or down depending on your enrollment. So I can't tell you you're going to have savings because I don't know. You could have a drop in special education population, or you could have a huge increase in special education population that changes those numbers. So I can't change that. The interventionists would stay as is. They all have full caseloads. That's built into your ed spec. We do have an instructional paraprofessional that's at the hall site. I put that down to 0, and I have a note on mine, like if that remains, because that's on your reduction list currently. If that's there, I do think having all of our interventionists in one building on one schedule creates efficiency in scheduling. It would make it a lot easier to say, hey, can you pick up? Because there's another person to do it, which is why I took out the instructional paraprofessional. It's not that you can do without them now. It's that when you have the efficiency of all being in one building. I also, the UA is hard. I left it as in yellow because it really is dependent on numbers and the number of sections you need. I do think that you could probably get away with 2 PE teachers, and really a portion of that, of one of those individuals is health, instead of the 2.5. It would depend on numbers. The number of sections we have to run health, it would matter. So I didn't put a savings on it because of that. Same thing with art. One teacher is on there. You have 2 art rooms right now. It could be 1.4 like it is now. That might be what it is. I don't foresee 2.0 full. This really just depends on scheduling. But to make sure we have the sections there, that's why I don't want to guarantee a number to it. Because the library media specialist would be, because that position would be in the building, the certified position. I took out the library paraprofessional position. That is the person that currently is operating the whole school library under the guidance of the certified person. So I removed that. And the nurse, I already explained, if it's under 450, I think it's reasonable. That's common. If you start getting over that number, when I was in Tallinn Intermediate School, we had a part-time nurse, so it was like a 1 point something, and it just helped on those days. When you're running screenings, it's really important, because if you have kids coming in and out all day long, which happens all day long, and you're trying to do screenings by yourself, it's near impossible. And then the other thought, despite the size of the building, I left the night custodians. I went from 3 to 2. And those are 2 custodians to clean the entire building at night. I think it's feasible. We have 2 night custodians right now at Hall that is in that 60,000 plus range. It also depends on finishes. If you have to vacuum a ton of stuff or wash floors, there are certain things that are faster than others. The more bathrooms, right? Are they easier to clean? Can you get a bathroom machine in real quick and spray and walk? Because they have those machines. As long as you have floor drains, they're much faster. It depends on the layout, but I do feel like 2 would be something that could be done. And then same thing with maintenance custodians. We have 1 in each building right now, 1 custodian, and they are a maintenance supervisor custodian during the day right now. I would leave it as 1. So you'd go to 2 to 1. So basically what that does, yeah,
What about the food service stuff?
doesn't impact your budget at all. So there's no savings in your budget, so I did not look at it.
Yeah, there's still funded.
In my staffing, it's a good question. So in my staffing list that's in the budget, I put IT on the second page. I did not consider any changes in bus drivers, because I think he's still in the same number of bus drivers. And it's not in your operational budget. There's no savings to it. Same thing with food services, business office. None of those people impact your operational budget. So what I did was, and look at their raw. I did not take anybody's salary. All right. So I did basically taking a 0.2 off of the ballpark of what I make if I'm here in that time. So a savings of 32.5. When you look at the other positions, they're all around 65,000 savings, and the 65,000 comes from E+1 insurance plus their salary. That's what the 65. So it's about 50,000. And I didn't pick the lowest, and I didn't pick the highest. In some cases, there's more savings. It depends on how it goes. What I need to remind you of is, just because you cut a position doesn't mean it is that person. You know that from our discussions. So someone might be making $95,000. You cut their position, but because they've been here for 20 years, they bump someone else who's making 50. So you see a savings of 40, but then that person making 95 also takes family benefits. There's another 30 grand, and the other person was making waiving insurance. It's a wash. You didn't save anything. So I put a $65,000 value on each of those, and when you look at that, $479,000 is not a drop in the bucket. I cannot, again, guarantee some of these things. I'm just making a recommendation to you based on what I believe today could be reasonable. You could get into a building and go, this is not enough. We cannot have 2 custodians cleaning this building at night. It's not working. And have to hire someone. The point of this is just a snapshot to give you a sense of what might it look like. Questions, comments about staffing, anything I did that you don't like?
I'm trying to understand how we would capture the physical plant savings, like we would be only supplying electricity to one building, it would be bigger, but it would be more efficient, we would assume.
I have that on the backside on the second page. I'll get to, I have some sort
Did
of,
not know there was a.
that's okay.
Sorry.
I'll get to some of
Okay.
the non-staffing portion.
Okay.
That is harder to do, but
Yeah,
we have some thoughts about it.
okay.
And I'll tell you how I went that way. Any of the staffing side of the questions and thoughts? Fill your crazy, any fill your crazy spots, like that won't work? Or
I think as long as we can be flexible, and as you said, if you notice something is not enough, be able to add what's needed.
next page. Good. Can't tell if you guys are still cooked from last night. Okay.
It seems reasonable, but it's also, we've had 2 schools in this town forever. So how do you predict exactly the need? When
You're looking at numbers, you're looking at the student numbers to try and get a sense of what one it is.
There's a lot of variables.
Yeah. I mean, again, 400 is way different than 500, right? I mean, it is in how it impacts your classrooms and, what you did. Okay, so before I go through this one, I'm just gonna pop into the budget and just give you a sense of what I did. So I went program by program. And I just went through, so staffing's already been done, okay? And I'd get to purchase service and I'd say, okay, if I have a purchase service for, at the Ellen, this is program 1 center school. So we're gonna look and go, okay, do we need that? Some of our subscriptions are by number of students, not necessarily broken down by building. So some of these subscriptions would not go away. This is an example. When you look at Power School, you might find some savings. It depends on Power School typically is by building, whereas some other subscriptions are by students. Some subscriptions would go away, some would have to remain. So there's not always a real easy way to say that's gone. Or you can't just say because it's a subscription that's at center school, it doesn't exist anymore. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you go through, what we can say is, well, we're not the copier leases at that building. We would have the copiers already a hall. I took that out. Telephone service, internet service, it's by building. Postage meter, you're still gonna pay for postage. So that would be there. You're not gonna pay for trash anymore because you already have it in the other building. So I basically went through, I did not touch supplies. You still need all the supplies for kids. They're just in a different building. I did not touch, textbooks or books for the library. You're still gonna need those. I did remove the entire chunk of building maintenance because the fire alarm test, the pest control, MCOR contract by building, fire extinguishers, septic, lawn care, boiler tank inspections. I took that whole chunk out. That is the process I did when I went through. So if I look at, if I just did that same thing, you can't touch hall because you're basically using that as a sense of, it's gotta remain. When I went to special ed, couldn't change a lot there, because that crosses schools already. When I got to program 4 for transportation, I did not do anything with the bus contract. because we pay our buses per day. Where we do pay more is in fuel. So I anticipate we're gonna see some fuel savings because I anticipate it would be one run, a morning run and an afternoon run, not hall school, center school, hall school, center school as it is now. So I took some fuel off for that out of the diesel. Can I say the exact amount? I put a number in there, but it's a guess. It just depends upon the mileage that we do, but we're crisscrossing the same roads for the most part. Health services is mainly staffing. A lot of that would remain unless we went to one. You might be able to take a little bit of money off substitutes, but it's not a lot of money. We're not talking about adding, taking off $10,000. You get the point. Do I need to go further with this? This is how I did it. So if I pop over to this document, this is what I pulled off. Phone, I pulled off the phone for center school and for the special education office at Hall. They have their own, and what that is their own direct line. We are actually working on getting rid of that currently, so that they don't have their own direct line in. People can call the main office and then before. Internet, I took off the heating fuel from the center. Gone. I took off electricity, took off the water. I took off a little bit of property insurance, not knowing. It just depends on, when you have a newer property, they might be, they might bring your insurance up, but I put a number on it. The IT subscriptions, I did take some off that were by building. I mentioned those. I did not change IT services at this point. I would hope with everything being, they might have some significant work in year one, but following that, if we're operating on a new system with everything, you might be able to start to dwindle the number of on-site days down and target more of a ticketing system. I told you I took out the building maintenance. I took out the copiers, the diesel. The Siemens contract is a biggie here. This ends in 30/31. That's the last payment. That's in the ballpark of where if it happens in that ballpark. So taking $50,000, which is, I think the final payment is like 51,000 something, coming off your operational budget, that's significant. And then the summer custodians, because we're paying for two buildings, I took the $10,000 off for that. So in general, and again, these are not down to the penny. You're looking at about the 214,000 here. You're looking at the staffing. You're closing in on $700,000 in operational savings. What this doesn't factor in, and what I'll tell you is what it doesn't factor in is, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry, is that Tecton and Colliers, I think, who are the architects and the project manager, I think both believe there will be additional savings on the utility side of things because Hall School is so inefficient. It just really is. So even with AC added into that, there still may be some savings there. Obviously, that depends on what systems go in. But things like building envelope, using daylight, LEDs, all of those things matter. System management systems that, lights go off automatically when you're out of the classroom, things power down, all of those things matter in your savings. Those are hard to factor in. So I just wanted to give you a snapshot without getting into the real specific weeds, or being able to guarantee it. You're talking about over $500,000 in your budget. Questions about this side?
So you pull up the Siemens contract for 30/31, but aren't you gonna have to have some kind of maintenance contract with somebody somehow? The custodians aren't gonna be able to maintain the building.
That's MCOR. So I think MCOR would remain. Siemens is the performance contract that you're paying over the 17 years that was the lights in the building envelope and that we can't wait to get rid of.
They do nothing now.
And all of not everything, but most of the things that they put into place are already outdated.
I have a
So it might
question,
not-
Phil.
Yeah, sorry, Sam, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't know if you said it or not because I couldn't really hear you because I'm with my son. But is there any way to calculate, or do you know how often we pay for additional freight charge for having deliveries come with a the lift on the back?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a couple thousand a year and it's not every year. Is it something? It is something, but it's not. I was trying to target bigger dollars and I can't guarantee that that's something that would be a guarantee. And the other piece of why I didn't put it in is because if they do a renovation addition at Hall School, I also can't guarantee they're going to be able to put a ramp in there. And to do a drop zone.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. For me, if you can clearly say, we think $500,000 is a pretty fair number that we could achieve in operational savings, just without going real deep. I don't think it funds. Even if it's on the staffing side and they're new and they're waiving insurance, there's still savings there. You get someone who's top step and they're taking family insurance, it's more.
I just have a quick question on the staff side on the other page. We'll go back to it.
Yeah.
Why are the OT and PT 6.5 and not 6.0.6? 3827 is 6.5. Just curious as to why that is.
You mean, why are they?
Why are they at 0.6? Why are they at 0.65? Like, why are they not 3 days a week? Why are they like 3 days and an hour a week?
So we share them with several other districts and we base it on what we need in IEPs. We've kept their hours flat because we usually need consistent hours. So it's probably been that way for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. And every budget season, I ask Marcia, are we okay with hours? Do we need to go up? Can we reduce? And she'll go back through all the IEPs and go, okay, this is what we need for OT services. This is what we need for PT. And sometimes if it's close, but we can maintain them. So if it's under, we didn't have as much, they might do some proactive work. They might work with someone else in a classroom, things like that with intervention.
That depends a lot on the IEP, which is legally binding for our special education team.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, 15 minutes in the classroom twice a week. Sometimes it's 20 minutes outside of the classroom once a week. It kind of depends.
No, that's not what I meant. What I'm meaning was the way this is broken up is your 1.0s are 5 days a week. And then your points beyond that are additional days. 0.2 is an additional day, 0.1 is additional half day. So it's just 0.65 is a very odd number. That's all it is. That's all.
Yeah.
You're saying you're basing it on hours, purely on
Correct.
hours, not days.
Correct. Yeah, we know the exact number of hours, and they build their schedule. So they might start in an Ashford school and work an hour, and then come to us for a few hours. Very rarely we have them for a full day, and then trying to get them and schedule them into PPTs when they've got to be there. That's why we set our PPT day. It's Wednesdays so that we know these folks will be around.
Oh, nice. So I know this is a snapshot, but, you feel like this would work from a scheduling perspective, since it's like now every kid in the district is going through these.
Yeah.
Oops.
The UA piece is and that's why I left that yellow. It's very intentional because I don't want to say you could do without and then suddenly you have more kids and cannot guarantee that. What I tried to put on here, that was where can you consolidate roles? Where can you make sure you find efficiencies? That's where I've done that. You may see additional savings in some of those UA staff. You might not. Which is why I didn't want to guarantee it. That was really my intent, was what did I feel confident in saying we could do without? Where would those positions be?
So the music on the consolidated side is 1.6 music, that includes choral, right? I would have to do general music and choral, and then have the one.
You have band too. So you've got 2.6 total music. You've got what you have in district now. If that makes sense. So between the 2.6, you'd have 3 people that could potentially do general music. You'd have your someone that's going to focus on the elementary side, someone who's going to focus on a middle school side, and then a portion of someone's job is going to be is band. The band probably is going to be the person that's going to do everybody, and they could bump band back again, scheduling in there if they have time. Right now, we started at 4th grade. You're in one building. You might potentially be able to start band earlier, depending on what they have for time in their schedule.
The only thing that made me, I guess, cringe or look forward to further discussion was the 2 custodians at night. So you have somebody there all day.
Correct.
And then is that shift is that like 3 to 11, 2 to 11?
Yeah. And
there's just 2 of them.
Something like that. It's usually going to be, again, you don't have a schedule for this, but my assumption would be some sort of, 3 p.m. dismissal. You've got to still meet the middle school sports model and get out early enough to get kids to go if they're going to play games. But you don't want my custodians in the building too early because they can't do a lot when people are there.
For me, it was less about the hours and more about the number of people.
Yeah. Listen, we've done reports in the past. It's been years since we've had the evaluations done. But outside agencies have evaluated. We're supposed to have. They've recommended more custodial staff than we have. But we do okay with what we have. 2 at the middle school, 1 at the elementary school. You're not sitting around. You're going. When we couldn't go less if we had the same square footage, because one person to clean all by themselves is impossible. That's why I needed an additional person. So 2 at night, if you're looking at the same square footage, that's what
I'm not trying to imply that 2 was too many in my.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, no, I know. You're saying it's probably not enough.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm open to more studies and conversation about it. And probably having a building that's on from scratch, and there would be ways to sort of use their time more wisely and not have to do many things like, oh, whoops, there's a flooding sink all of a sudden, and then whatever else.
That's also where you can consider some part-time. I mean, there's some people that, will retire and say, look, I just want to work a couple hours a night. And if you needed additional, you cut into your operational savings. But if you needed that because you needed the additional hours, sometimes you don't know until you're running, right? Like, this is what we think we can cover based purely on square footage. So how you're calculating it. You may say that, hey, one day a week, we just need one person, and someone says, I'll come and work for you on Fridays.
Did anybody else have anything we wanted to share or ask?
This is, I know I should know this off the top of my head, and I can go home and do this too, but if this is in line with our ed specs, like, as far as what we are looking for in our school.
Yeah. The only thing that might not be is classrooms, but I'm not, meaning like teachers, but I'm not guaranteeing that in savings, so it doesn't matter. The items that truly matter are any item I've listed in red on the staffing side. Because they're in red and you put space for them, like that doesn't work. Like, that's not the case. And anything on the back side doesn't mean anything to that specs. So, yes.
Right.
The only one that could potentially impact it would be UA. And again, I can't guarantee that as a savings model.
The only other, I keep finding questions, so the social worker, I'm assuming all of the folks that you listed have full caseloads.
Yes.
So how does combining buildings, you're still gonna have the same number of kids, so how does that?
I didn't cut any of them at all. You still would have one social worker, you still would have one school counselor, which is your guidance counselor, you still would have one mental health specialist, and you still would have your
Okay.
school-based health clinic, which is the third-party vendor that we have in school.
And we have rooms in our ed spec for each of
For those
people.
folks.
Not rooms perhaps, but.
Offices.
Maybe, yeah, office space, yeah.
They're like the 250s, I think. There. Square feet.
Okay.
Well, I can take this to SBC and I can share it with them, and get some more feedback from them if they have additional things that they recommend that will help them do the task. They really won't help on the staffing side too much, I don't think, but on the other side, we may see some additional things that they come up with ideas that could impact something, and I'll see what the tech con and college.
Snow removal.
Yeah.
By that now.
Yeah, like the yellows, we won't know until the building is opening and we see our enrollment numbers at the time, if we need one principal or 1.5.
And one of the purpose of one of the big pieces for doing this is to say, okay, you're gonna do a project, here's the cost of the bond. How much of that bond is offset, we hope, with operational savings? You wanna make sure you can guarantee as much as you can. And that's the purpose of this. So those things in yellow could be a bonus or not be there at all.
But I think you also have a little bit of flexibility in there when you call it 500,000 and it comes in at 693, so
Right.
you kind of.
I'm putting
It might be
a
more,
safe
there might
minimum
be
on.
less, but the 500 is a good number.
Right.
It seems, yeah.
Hey, Phil,
Yeah,
do we, can you remind me, do we do our own lawn care for our fields and stuff? Like, do we do the mowing and stuff in-house or do we sub that out?
we have a town-wide contract that we share with rec. It's really rec. It's our budget and rec's budget. And so someone comes in and does spring cleanup, mowing, fertilizer, lime, all those projects.
Okay, I'm just asking because, and we won't know until that referendum and whatever way it goes, if we do end up doing one of those projects where we move to a new site or whatever, that it, just reminding myself by saying it out loud too, that might go up if we have more land to take care of with a potential new site or reconfiguration of hall on the current site. You know what I mean? Like if there's more acreage to take care of with a different layout than we currently have now. And I know that we can't really speculate what that would look like, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now.
Yeah, I would think right now, just because of the space, like they're mowing the town office building field, they're mowing all the town office building, they're mowing all of the, River Road Park. So like when you think about what we would have at the school for the most part, it shouldn't be that much more, but either way, like those things go out the bid, so. But yeah, and we don't have any of that equipment, so it's gonna be contracted.
Whatever happened to that little thing that?
We're still trying.
The little thing that, what is it? What's it called?
Talking about the UTV to do this thing.
It's a goner. Yeah. But it ain't happening.
It's no?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Not this year.
Oh, is it on CIP?
It was asked for in CIP.
Okay. All right.
What are them for?
Okay.
Okay, so our responsibility was to begin discussions about original cost savings to give the school building committee a starting estimate for what we can sort of highlight and address now. Okay.
Potential savings.
Potential, thank you. All right. Thank you for taking my time to do that. I think that the way that you went about it, meaning the staff portion and then the other stuff, was a good way to do it. And thank you for tying it back to specific parts of the budget so that when people want to try to make that connection, they know what they're looking for. That was really helpful too.
And if you have other ideas as you kind of digest it, just let me know. This is meant to be a living, breathing document. We can adjust it. And again, if we get closer, I can put because at some point, if you do a project, it needs to become actual. So you put names to it, you put salaries and benefits to it. It becomes an actual number. You just don't know. It's too far away to do that now. We're in ballpark land.
Okay. All right, we have another opportunity for participants to speak. If you would like to raise your hand here or virtually and just state your name and address, please, at the Swift. We have mine. Anybody here in the room? Okay, hopefully we answered some of the questions that were brought up in the first present to speak. It seems as though it's getting a little bit blurry about our responsibilities and the school building committee's responsibilities. And the good news about that is that we work as collaboratively in a positive way that we possibly can. But I think we do need to make sure to like refer people to the right folks just for the sake of clarity and continuity of information. All right, we need a motion to adjourn, please.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Sam, do you agree? Samantha?
Yes.
Thank you, dear. Tracy?
Yes.
Arthur? I agree, Anne? Yes. Jen?
I'm
John?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we are adjourning at 7:02 p.m. Thank you for joining us.